Shalom, shalom. Good morning, everybody. All right. Good morning, Chuck. Benjamin Turner. Good morning, David and Michelle Vance. John Knight. Good morning, y'all. All right, so we are on day 31, Isaiah 31. Good morning, Amy and Abraham Jacobus. All right, here we go. Chapter 31 of Isaiah. Woe to those who go down to Mitzrayim for help, Egypt, and rely on horses, who trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but who do not look to the Holy One of Israel, nor seek Jehovah. Yet he also is wise and will bring disaster, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of evildoers, and against the help of those who work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses are flesh and not spirit. When Jehovah stretches out his hand, both he who helps will fall, and he who is helped will fall down. They all will perish together. For thus Jehovah has spoken to me. As a lion roars and a young lion over his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is summoned against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor be disturbed by their noise. So Jehovah Tzevaot will come down to fight for Mount Zion, for its hill. Like birds flying about, so will Jehovah Tzevaot defend Jerusalem. Defending, he will also deliver it. Passing over, he will preserve it. Return to him against whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. For in that day every man shall throw away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, sin which your own hands have made for yourselves. Then Assyria shall fall by a sword, not of man. Then Assyria shall fall by a sword, not of man. And a sword not of mankind shall devour him, but he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall become forced labor. He shall cross over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the banner, says Jehovah, whose fire is in Zion, and whose furnace is in Jerusalem. You know, the simplicity of what you get out of that chapter. One is the warning against those who believe that the bigger they are, the less likely somebody can conquer them. Man has always had that. You know, you have a 6'4", 6'5", 250, 300-pound man, muscled out, and if he has a mean countenance on his face, all he's got to do is puff up his chest and act like he's hard, and people are intimidated. People are afraid. But what they don't understand is most guys like that ain't never been in a fight in their life because of his size. And it's the same thing here. Woe to those who go down to Egypt for help, rely on horses, trust in chariots, because they are many. It's the same mentality. People, it's the armies, and talking about from the spiritual realm of this, these armies that will gather in Megiddo, these armies that will gather at the end to come against Jerusalem because they think that they're actually going to be able to stop Yeshua. And their armies will be mighty. I mean, you read it in Revelation 13 when it talks about, that and the seals and stuff, when it talks about the armies from the north and the east that come across the Euphrates River and 100 times 100,000, something like that. It's like 200 million, something like that. And it's like, This is a massive, massive army. And they think that the more they got, the better chance they have to stop Yeshua. And yet, all throughout Scripture, and then the following scriptures shows, doesn't matter what they do, doesn't matter what they try, doesn't matter what they think is going to happen. I like what he says here. So let's see, so we've got the verse 1, the first half of it is about man just relying on all the mightiness of their chariots and horses and themselves and all that stuff. And then it continues on the second half of verse 1, but who do not look to the Holy One of Israel, nor seek Yehovah. Yet he also is wise and will bring disaster, talking about Yah, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of evildoers, against the help of those who work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God. Their horses are flesh and not spirit. When Yehovah stretches out his hand, both he who helps will fall, and he who's been helped will fall. They will all perish together. It's just a matter of fact. He's just speaking as what it's going to be. There's no way out of it. It doesn't matter where you get your help. You're man, not God. And I am in control. And Yehovah just points this out. And then he tells Isaiah, thus Yehovah has spoken to me, verse 4, as lions roar and a young lion over his prey. When a multitude of shepherds is summoned against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor be disturbed by their noise. So Yehovah Tzvaot will come down to fight for Mount Zion and for its hill, like birds flying about. So will Yehovah Tzvaot defend Jerusalem. Defending, he will also deliver it. Passing over, he will preserve it. And how many times have we get this mentality that we think that if we have a lot of something, or we have certain people or certain things in our life, it's going to give us the authority or the power to overcome things coming against us. And it's always about numbers. But when we stand in Yah and we trust in his protection, his divinity, his promise, Psalm 91. I mean, let me attach that to this real quick, part of it. First of all, it says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So it starts off telling us that. And we don't have to worry about the pestilence or the arrow that flies by day or pestilence at night or all the other stuff. None of this stuff. It says, do not worry. And then verses 7 and 8, and we see the wickedness and we see everything going on around us. And sometimes it gets frustrating. It's like, why are you allowing this, Abba? But it has to be. But he says 1,000 will fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come nigh you. For you will observe and see the punishment of the wicked. Verse 7 and 8. But then here's what happens, and here's why. And this is why we have the hope of what he talks about here. Verse 8 and 9, it describes that by Yah's power, Assyria will fall, not by a sword of man. A sword not of mankind shall devour him, but he shall flee from the sword. His young men shall become forced labor. All of this is not done by man. So two-part here I want to do is for us, this is how we stay delivered from it. Verse 14, 15, and 16 of Psalm 91. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. How do we know his name? By walking in obedience to his word. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. So that's the hope of what is talked about for those, that he will defend and deliver, and when passing over, he will preserve us. So that's our hope. But the part I wanted to touch on is all this end time prophecy, everybody talking about what's coming, what's going to happen, and everything else. Zechariah 14, where it says that they stand there and their eyeballs melt out of their sockets, and their tongue from their mouth, and their skin from their bones, and all this stuff. And a lot of these, especially the church pastors, but I've seen messianics who want to preach end time prophecy, they always try to tie this to being some kind of man-made weapon, nuclear bombs, a dirty bomb, something, everything. They're always trying to use it, that Yah's going to use this to destroy. He's going to use man's own weapons to destroy when he comes. Why? It doesn't make any sense. Why would Yah? Because Yah declares that when he destroys these nations, all the world will know that Yehovah Tzveah delivered Israel. If he uses man-made weapons, nobody's going to know that Yah is the one who delivered. It's just going to be whoever pushed the button, so to speak, or whatever happens. But what is going to happen is the same kind of thing that we read about in Sodom and Gomorrah. Yah has his own power. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says that he will destroy the Antichrist with the brightness of his coming. We have no idea what that means and what that can do. Because I'm sure fully well that since Scripture does describe the glory, the Shekinah of Yehovah and all that he looks like, and when you read the description of him in Ezekiel's vision in Ezekiel 1, and in Daniel, and in Revelation, when it describes the legs of burnished brass or bronze or whatever, all of this, that is a being who radiates a brightness, a light. And it says that, in the Ezekiel one, it looks like he's on fire. And so all of this description, when Yah comes, all this destruction, it's not going to be by man's weapons. It's going to be by Yah's literal hand, by his glory, by the brightness of his coming, that he will destroy and melt away the armies, literally, that come against Yerushalayim and come against him. And we see both the destruction of those who had faith in their numbers and in themselves, the end of those who help or are helped that are of wickedness. But in it we have the same hope of what happens for those that belong to him and all of that. So, key thing, Mishpachah, for us, we couldn't have a greater number of protection than when we have Yah standing, protecting us. Not to mention, Scripture says that he appoints guardian angels over each one of us. So we each probably have our own army of angels who watch over us. Who knows how many times Yah uses them to protect us from death or whatever, because it's not our time. We have no clue. We know it's there. Scripture describes it. Scripture talks about it. But Yah is our foreguard and our rear guard. He goes before us, and he's got our back. And that is the divine protection. That is the security that we have, Mishpachah, to stand in against everything going on around us in this world. He is our protector. He is our shield and our buckler. Amen. So anyways, I hope y'all have an awesome and blessed day. I hope that you have a great day of preparation. And we're supposed to have great weather and everything, so we should be we are, as far as I know right now, we are doing Triple T tonight. So so look forward to seeing y'all tonight, those who are able to be there. But may your day be blessed wherever you're at. May you be safe in the hands of Yehovah. But may everything that you say and do honor and glorify his name and not profane his name. Amen. I love y'all, Mishpachah, but most of all, y'all loves you. Shalom, shalom.